The historian David McCullough once spoke these words to an audience. He said, "Climb the mountain not to plant your flag, but to embrace the challenge, enjoy the air, behold the view. Climb it so you can see the world, not so the world can see you." Now, David McCullough spoke these words at a college commencement, a number of years ago. And I think it's not only good advice for those who are embarking on a new chapter of their life after college or university, I think it also helps us understand our call to discipleship and also the meaning that we find in today's gospel from today's Mass. The gospel today is taken from Mark, and part of that gospel today has these words. Jesus went up the mountain and summoned those whom he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, whom he also named apostles, that they might be with him, and he might send them forth to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. Now, the truth is that the gospel for today is the exact same gospel for Sundays, the third Sunday in ordinary time. So I'm not going to use all of my material about this gospel in this reflection. But I am thinking about the image of a mountain. Because both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, the mountain is an important place where people have new insights, where they come to understand God and themselves in a completely new way before they go back down the mountain to encounter their life, to live their calling. In Mark's gospel, there are several places where Jesus goes up a mountain. And so the mountain in Mark's gospel is a place of both revelation of who Jesus is and the mission to which he calls all his disciples. You know, for me, it's that quote from David McCullough that I think expresses this moment of Jesus with his disciples on the mountain. We're told he summons them to himself. It's not that he calls them, "Hey guys, come on up here." He summons them to himself. And the sense of that word is not just, could you get up here and stand on the mountain, as it is to come be with me, to see things as I see, to stand with me not only here in this place, but in all the places we will travel together. So it's not about planting a flag to be noticed as one of the inner circle of Jesus, because these disciples are going to learn later on that being a disciple is not about who's the greatest or who gets the special privileges. They are summoned to the mountain to see the world as Jesus sees it. That even though it is a dark place and it's filled with trials and tribulations, there are moments of blessing, moments of light for all of us to see. That God is present in the beauty of human life. But also as they are summoned to that mountain to see as Jesus sees, they also are aware of the work that needs to be done. The dark clouds of indifference, the dark clouds that create the wounds of poverty and injustice, hatred and grief. Disciples then, and disciples now, need to take the time every day to hear the summons and to be willing to look, not just once, but every day, at the world as it is right now, at our lives as they are right now, to be aware of the grace, but also to see our work as disciples. No matter what your political affiliation, the inauguration of President Biden, as the inauguration of every president before him, reminds us always of the work ahead and the blessings that do exist. But an inauguration of a president does not simply focus on the work of one person, or of Congress, or of state and local government. But it's a moment for us to be summoned again, to think about our work, to embrace our work as disciples of Jesus. This new year is summoning us to the mountain, to hear again that Jesus is not just interested in what happened then, what is happening now is as important as that first call of the disciples. And that Jesus calls everyone, no matter what their political party, no matter what their race, their gender, their creed, their way of life, they're all called to do the two things we heard as his followers in today's gospel: to preach the message and to name and drive out the evil, the demons. So you and I are called by the lives we live to preach the gospel, to preach the message by the choices that we make and the decisions that people see in us each day. But we're also called to drive out the demons, the things that threaten peace and unity and justice. Today is named by the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops as a day of prayer for the legal protection of the unborn. It is a reminder of the hard work that still needs to be done to respect human life from conception until death, and also to have even a wider view, to see the work that we need to do as a society, as a church, to create a world in which women have the support and the resources to keep their children, to provide for their children, to help their children become the men and women that God needs them to be. That's the work that all of us still need to do in our time. I cannot end this reflection without mentioning the very striking image of this past week. For the very first time in our country's history, a woman, Kamala Harris, has taken the oath as Vice President of the United States. You know, I was born when Dwight Eisenhower was president. I have no recollection of him. I do remember President Kennedy. But in all the years since my birth, the president and the vice president have been men. And while other countries have seen their primary leader be a woman, we have yet to have that until now. And so I think it is a long time in coming. And I believe that no matter how we voted, it is a historic milestone that all of us need to acknowledge and to celebrate. But still even more, we need every day to acknowledge and to celebrate our own call. Maybe it's when you get in your car, or maybe when you're sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, or maybe when you're taking that walk around the neighborhood to get some exercise or to walk your dog. Each of us needs a mountain, some place where we are summoned to think about our world, to think about our life, and to say, as I live my life, do I see myself standing right next to Jesus? And am I asking him to help me see the world as he sees it? Maybe that's the task, especially for anyone who hasn't had a New Year's resolution made yet. The month is almost over. Maybe that could be your resolution, to realize that every single day you are being summoned by the Lord to stand next to him, to find the place in your daily life where you can be aware of that summons, to be aware of that call, and to hear that Jesus does indeed call you by name, and to hear him ask you every day, what do you see? What do you see? For what are you grateful? And coming down the mountain, what exactly will you do?